Hello and welcome to the Northwood Podcast. I'm your host, Heath Jones, and apologies for not releasing an episode last week, which I guess is a bit rich coming from me as we hadn't released episodes for many months at a time up until very recently. But I'm meaning to release one every week, and last week I was traveling for a work retreat, and so I didn't find the time. So you're going to get two. One released this one, and then another one hopefully at the end of the week. This first one that you're listening to now is from a talk that I gave 2 weeks ago on May the 4th, Star Wars Day, as it would have it. It was recorded live at my church, and so if it sounds like it's a bit ambient and strange in the noise, that's why. Although the audio technology that's out now really does a good job in cleaning that up, so I hope it's not too much of an encumbrance. Anyway, I'm just rambling now. As I was saying, Northwood Podcast, welcome here. If you'd like to know more about me or my church, visit www.ndncc.org. That's ndncc.org. That's NCC for Northwood Christian Church, which is our church. We have service times at 10:45 every Sunday. It would be lovely for you to come and see us in person. If you like what you hear, that would be a good thing to do. Or if you've other desires to volunteer, we have a food pantry and other points of contact with the public where we minister to the needs of those in this world who have need as best as we can see it, as best as we are able. So it'd be great to hear from you. If that sounds like something you're interested in, you can reach out to me directly by emailing me at my email, which is Heath, my name, Heath, at ndncc.org. That's Heath at ndncc.org. Now, what we're going to do here is I'm going to read the scripture from last week, the one that I preached on, the one I just mentioned a second ago. And then after that reading, there will be a pause for ad breaks, and then we'll come right back to the message proper. And so here now a reading from John chapter 21, verses 1 through 19, and it goes. After these things, Jesus showed himself again to the disciples by the Sea of Tiberias. And he showed himself in this way. Gathered there together were Simon Peter, Thomas called the twin, Nathanael of Cana in Galilee, the sons of Zebedee, and two others of his disciples. Simon Peter said to them, I am going fishing. And they said to him, We will go with you. They went out and got into the boat, but that night they caught nothing. Just after daybreak, Jesus stood on the beach, but the disciples did not know that it was Jesus. Jesus said to them, Children, you have no fish, have you? They answered him, No. He said to them, Cast the net to the right side of the boat, and you will find some. So they cast it, and now they were not able to haul it in because there were so many fish. That disciple whom Jesus loved said to Peter, It is the Lord. When Simon Peter heard that it was the Lord, he put on his outer garment, for he had taken it off, and jumped into the sea. But the other disciples came in the boat, dragging the net full of fish, for they were not far from the land, only about 100 yards off. When they had gone ashore, they saw a charcoal fire there, with fish on it, and bread. Jesus said to them, Bring some of the fish that you have caught. So Simon Peter went aboard and hauled the net ashore full of large fish, 153 of them. And though there were so many, the net was not torn. Jesus said to them, Come and have breakfast. Now none of the disciples dared to ask him, Who are you? Because they knew it was the Lord. Jesus came and took the bread and gave it to them, and did the same with the fish. This was now the third time that Jesus appeared to the disciples after he was raised from the dead. When they had finished breakfast, Jesus said to Simon Peter, Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these? He said to him, Yes, Lord, you know that I love you. Jesus said to him, Feed my lambs. A second time he said to him, Simon, son of John, do you love me? He said to him, Yes, Lord, you know that I love you. Jesus said to him, Tend my sheep. He said to him a third time, Simon, son of John, do you love me? Peter felt hurt because he had said to him the third time, Do you love me? And he said to him, Lord, you know everything. You know that I love you. Jesus said to him, Feed my sheep. Very truly I tell you, when you were younger, you used to fasten your own belt and to go wherever you wished. But when you grow old, you will stretch out your hands, and someone else will fasten a belt around you and take you where you do not wish to go." He said this to indicate the kind of death by which he would glorify God. After this, he said to him, "Follow me." And now we take a pause for some ads. I won't ask for a hand count, but I'd imagine some of you were sitting in anxiety as I was walking across the stage and you didn't know why. I know that sometimes folks in church services, when something goes a little different, it makes us feel a little unsettled. Well, I hope several things go different and in good ways to catch our attention this morning, because you may have noticed this is another one of those stories where the disciples, upon first encountering Jesus, well, this is the third time we read, they don't know who it is. How could you not know your friend, a person you'd spent years of your life with? But in the world of the Bible, it consistently makes this point, how the early disciples and their fear and distraction, preoccupied with fishing in this case, failed to see who it is they claim to know so well. The point for us today, many of us claim to know this Jesus so well, and yet we miss Jesus in the eyes of the poor and in the lives of individuals all around us, and in the life that we just referenced, that was named back there by Frank at an Easter egg hunt with 100 people, sparks of life. That's not the main point today, though. I titled this sermon, "I Don't Want to Fish." And actually, it's strange for me to say that, because I often want to fish, because I was raised fishing, and forgive me this indulgence, I know preachers should draw from other stories in their own, but I fished my entire life, and I would have to just really struggle to find other stories that I could relate to half so well. Coming from a boy who can remember being taught how to bait a hook by his grandmother, my grandma and grandpa had a pond in their backyard porch, and I don't know why my grandmother is the one who took the interest, but I remember her digging for worms and showing me when I went to dig for my own worms, frustrated, what kind of soil to dig in, darker, richer, less clay, more, I don't know what it's, loam, is that right? I don't know. Better soil for worms, and so it would come down to the moment where I would run out of worms for fishing and wonder, should I go bother my grandmother who's very busy, or should I just start digging for myself? Get that old shovel. I don't have anything like the body weight to push it down, but I get the job done as best I can because I wanted to go fishing. And my talents were very narrowly channeled in one direction. Bluegill, bobbers, sinker, hook. It's all I knew when I was 5, 6, 7. In my backyard, where I grew up, is Sugar Creek, that creek that goes through Turkey Run State Park. It's perhaps the best body of water in Indiana, in my opinion. And I would go out there fishing for panfish, and there were some in there, and I'd watch these carp go past my hook, and I'd have no idea why. Why aren't they biting? Maybe I get some different bait. And I tried all the baits that I knew to use on these fish, and sometimes my friends at school would even brag about the carp they were always catching. To this day, I don't know if they were telling the truth. You know how fish stories go. Then I went to Indiana Beach. Who knows about this place, Indiana Beach? And who knows about the pier with the carp, right? Do you know what I'm talking about? There's this big pier where there's these carp that are always there as people throw popcorn off, and they're just sort of churning. It looks like you could walk on them. They're so thick. And so I'd go home with just a handful of carp I'd see in the creek thinking, what gives? Popcorn? Surely not. But then I found out, yeah, you can find one specific thing, corn, grain, sweet stuff, and they will bite. And so you can become very competent at fishing for one kind of fish. One kind of fish. Catfish, later. A fella taught me to take liver, like you buy at a grocery store, and you set it in your car on a hot day, sealed. Then you crack it open at night, and the catfish love it. Okay? Trust me, it works. But fishing is something you have to work hard at, something that takes time, and I don't really know very many people who have a very broad understanding of how to fish in every place. I can't fish in oceans. I struggle to fish in large bodies of water, like freshwater lakes even. Very confined to what I know. Now, using fish as a metaphor for people, there's something there. Churches are really good at finding one kind of fish, and often one color, and maybe style. And then they will do really well at that, and then there will be other fishes that we wish that we could catch, and we may pander to and be confused, and maybe we'll say there's something wrong with the fish, and that's why they're not biting. But why fish in the first place? The disciples wanted to fish, and in their story, they only struggled until they saw the Lord, and then it was gangbusters, fish. The net didn't even break. 153 of them, a very specific number. Most plausible explanation is that the writer has in mind the number of peoples, nations, countries in the known world at the time. 153. And in the context of the gospel, you have a net that holds them all as the disciples faithfully obey the command of the Lord they half recognized to do something that made very little sense, as our calling in the gospel can sometimes it can be that way. 153 to indicate that the gospel can somehow, miraculously, until you think about it, hold them all. I say till you think about it, because if God created us all, then the fish, we're all cousins, right? We're all interrelated in different sizes and shapes, and different things will attract us as we, develop our tastes as cultures and different peoples. Could you imagine what it would be like for Ukrainians to fish for Russians, or for you or I to fish for Saudi Arabians? I don't know how to do it. I'd better catch carp than I could, because there's so many barriers between us, but we're told the net can hold, and some of us will really not sit long enough with that to wonder if it were true. Will the net hold the gospel? Can it hold all of this tension in the world? And Jesus, to the first disciples in this story, is saying, all of them, 153, go and fish, and the net will hold. It may take all night. You may wonder till morning if they're ever going to bite. But God is good, and the net will hold, the net that Jesus casts. Now, Peter doesn't want to fish. He wanted to fish earlier, but he doesn't want to fish now. He's talking about the fishing for people bit. And now I'm thinking about all the people who don't like fishing. And I get it. It's hard. It can be awkward. It can make you feel clumsy. You might spend way too much time doing it to no effect, and then wonder, what is even the point? Now I'm describing church. Am I describing fishing? I don't know. Jesus asked Peter 3 times, do you love me? Yes. Feed my sheep. Different metaphor, sheep. Talking along the same themes. Sticking with fish, though. You may have heard it said, give a man a fish, woman, give someone a fish, they eat for a day. Teach them, they'll eat for a lifetime. Picture who you've heard say that and when it's been said. And it's said in moments where somebody really doesn't want to give a fish. That's the problem. They have 2 fish and they want both of them. And they reason, I just soon teach them, really. As we've been discussing, it's a lot harder to fish yourself than to be given a fish. And it's a lot harder to teach someone to fish. Education system's broken, can't work. Why try? No. Teach them to fish. It will cost us something, whatever you're talking about. Whether you're talking about teaching someone to live well in community, whether you're trying to help them raise children that aren't traumatized, and the resources that will need to go into that, and how to mitigate trauma already past and now we have to deal with in communities of poverty. And now think of the children growing up alongside mine. Oh boy, in this world where my children cry at night if They don't get to stay up 10 minutes longer. That's a good reason to cry in life as a child. Because things are so good, you stay up 10 minutes. More of this, please. And I'm aware of children in other places. And teach them, help them fish. Give them the fish that you have. It's all exhausting. The question remains, will the net hold? Do you love me? Do you trust me? And you feed the sheep all night. They take your bait, and maybe you never know if they're going to bite again. For Jesus, it was a cross. For here, he alludes to probably Peter's death, a martyr's death. It ain't all going to end in death. In fact, none of it does, is the point of Easter. And Jesus, in walking the path ahead of us, shows that even if the worst happens while you're trying to help people learn to fish together, will the net hold? That even if it seems the net won't hold, Jesus shows you what happens when it breaks and is restored. God will never give up on this. And so here we are, about to enjoy a meal. And I love how this passage ends with the disciples going to the shore to enjoy a meal. And it just so happens we have communion right after the sermon. I got to think maybe there's a providential hand in, hopefully, our liturgical practices. But they sit down with Jesus at the end of this, committed to doing the work, and they are fed in that moment. It's like the little dark night before, doesn't matter half so much. What comes next, they'll face it. Right now, they are fed. And I'm thinking about those moments in our own church's life where on a Christmas Eve, the noise outside feels half so important. And here, I notice we are fed. The question is, do we want to fish? Do we want to feed? And the proof will be in the pudding, as they say. In fact, we will learn together what it is we want. And I know what it is I want. And I know what it is Northwood wants. And by the grace of God, I believe we will live to see fish aplenty again, by the grace of God.
This has been the Northwood Podcast. If you like what we're doing here, please subscribe to the podcast by way of whatever app you use to listen, or leave a comment. These points of engagement drive more traffic our way. Or check out our website, www.indyncc.org. And also check out the other podcasts produced by the All Indiana Podcast Network. Until next time, this has been the Northwood Podcast. I am Heath Jones. Peace.